Diana being out and everything, I'm a little slow. I'm not a good minute taker like she is, so I'm lacking. But we'll address that at the next meeting and approve those. So the next item on the agenda is the Milford Youth Center. Just a regular checkup with you guys, as I had mentioned in the email. We hadn't seen you guys in a while, and when you guys came in for your articles, a couple people started throwing in some questions about stuff that really wasn't pertinent to the articles, but they were good questions. So I just wanted to have you come in and just give us an update. So last time Jack's not here, but he says to me I should always have people introduce themselves. So even though we know you all and Jack's not here, I'll still do it for him. So
Who are you? I'm Jen Ward. I'm the director of the Milford Youth Center.
I'm Katie Covell. I'm the assistant director of the Youth Center.
And I am Amy Tamani. I'm the chairperson of the Milford Youth Council.
and the rest of the crowd behind you.
And then we make everything happen.
Awesome. Folks, I put everything, Jen had sent over a bunch of information earlier today. I had put it up on the Google Drive under MYC, Milford Youth Center, and then there's a folder that has today's date with a bunch of the information I'm sure she'll be referencing throughout the presentation. So with that, Jen?
First of all, thank you for having us tonight. So I'm going to go over the after-school program in particular first, and then I'll go into the summer camp program and our operating budget as well. So we're into November right now, and we have 288 registered after-school members. So again, it's pretty much the same with the fiscal year, the same with the school year. We start with having the kids register every school year. So this is a new number. We were here last time giving you guys updates in March of last year, and we were at 588 members. So if you look at the comparison, we're already at almost 50% of our registration, and we're only 2 months into our program. So you have that, all the breakdown in demographics, and then you get into our average daily attendance. So just to compare from last year, we've now been able to be in this building for a full year. It's pretty comparable. So the first 2 months, we see the growth. Our attendance kind of goes with the weather as well. So as it gets colder, our attendance goes up. So we, in September, saw 78 unduplicated youth come into the youth center. Now again, unduplicated means it's not the same kid signing in and signing out. It's a different member coming in every single day. And then we saw that grow to 90 average unduplicated youth in October, and now only 11 days into November, we're at 111 different youth that we see every day. In terms of monthly unduplicated sign-ins, September we're seeing 222 different members, in October 290, and November we're still only halfway in, and we're at 202. So. New this year, which we didn't show you in the presentation, was that now we're able to provide a snack every single day to these after-school members. So regardless of income, we have a program that's supported by the Hockomock YMCA and CACP that allows every member to come in and they get a free whole grain with a free juice or fruit option. So it's an added thing that we are able to provide these kids that might not have any food item since lunchtime until they leave our program at 6 p.m. at night. So it's something we've always wanted to provide, and we just now have been able to do a grant that we partner with the YMCA in Hockomock. The third page, you'll see all the programs being offered since the completion of the renovation. So what we wanted to do there is just kind of show the group that the whole argument of why we needed this building and why it was so important to be renovated was we wanted to increase the program offerings. So prior to the renovation, we really only offered one structured program a day, and now we offer 3 to 4 a day. And you'll see through this list that it's not just sports related. We try to really have some type of activity that every kid that comes to the youth center can enjoy. So if there's any questions after I stop talking about any of these specific programmings, you can feel free to ask. But these are all offered either by our paid staff, by volunteers, or by grants that we're able to help facilitate this programming. The other column you'll see is our other programs and events. So in addition to our free after-school program that we provide with these structured programs, we also have monthly events that we like to provide the community. So we just had, in October, we had a Halloween event where we had over 150 youth families attend, transformed our basement into a haunted maze. We're having a Thanksgiving dinner coming up. We've offered new things in the morning to try to really have this building utilized from morning to night. So we offer a kids play group in the morning. We have rentals in the morning as well. And at 6 o'clock, 6:30 is when we have rentals, and they're usually until 11, and I'm gonna have Katie talk in a couple minutes and go over how the rentals are doing since the renovation. A key note that I just wanted to mention was our volunteers. So in FY17, when we were in the building for a year, we had about 110 volunteers. So that's not just after-school program, that's for our events, and that's also for projects where we reach out to the community to help finish something in the building or to help run an event. So we've really, this year in FY18, have really tried to increase that and try to minimize some of our costs in either staffing or building projects, and we've already reached 177 volunteers, and we're only a few months into the fiscal year. So I think that number is going to be doubled by the time we finish this year. Fundraisers, we're always trying to find ways to really be able to sustain our programming here. We had a telethon in August, thanks to Milford TV, give them a plug. We raised about $7,000 for a movie space that we're trying to finish. We have our annual St. Patrick's fundraiser, and then we also have a lot of community organizations and businesses that reach out to us, and they really want to help find ways to raise money for our facility and our programs, and so I listed a few as well. We have one coming up at Central Tavern, the annual ALS fundraiser for our scholarship that we provide for one high schooler, female and a male every year, and then we had one just last weekend, a basketball tournament where the local barbershop raised $700 for us as well. I just want to also reference our in-kind donations. So this fiscal year in particular, we've really tried to gather an estimation on everything we get. I mean, every day we have someone from the community coming in and asking if we need binders, if we need a desk, things like that. So we've started to value those so that we can really have a number to what we're not spending on certain items. So from the move into the since we've moved into the new building, we've valued over $30,000 of different items that we've had donated. Things like a floor machine, a $7,000 floor machine that we had donated by the softball department. So that's just another example. We're always looking to facilitate grants. We actually got a grant this year to have a grant writer for a full year for the youth center, so we can actually go for more grants and more opportunities. And again, we've received an AmeriCorps grant, which is huge. We have a full-time employee that we pay a third of the cost for, and having actually to pay for a salary for a full-time employee. And then finally, the projects, we valued over $100,000 in donated services for projects, which include, and this is all since the renovation, landscaping, about $30,000 in the front of the building, $25,000 in the basement. We've had it all painted and walls put up. Additional walls and doors throughout the building, and then we actually had the batting cages put up in the basement too at no cost from the softball and baseball departments. In addition, we had a company, Synovian, come out and build a shed for us in our back too. So just some examples, there's more than that, just that, but some big items that we've had donated since the renovation at no cost to the town or no cost to or decrease to our revolving account. At this point, I would like to have Katie talk about how successful our rental program has been.
So I just started this probably about a year ago this past August, and I was in charge of handling the rentals of the facility to help generate revenue for our programming and our staff. And last year was definitely a learning curve, but this year has already increased and put forward to the future endless possibilities. Right now, from November all the way to the end of March, I have 7 days a week of multiple rentals booked every single day. That's Sunday to Saturday, where we are having to increase part-time staff to have staff on the weekends come in to support those rental hours. You'll see on this list there's 34 different groups, along with a couple other individuals that come in that want either to rent the batting cages out for their son to get extra practice in, extra gym time for extra basketball shooting, along with these other 34 organizations that rent either one time or they rent annually for a certain period of time for their practices and for their usage.
Do you guys have any questions before we kind of move to the summer camp and operating budget?
I'll ask a question about the rental process, and I know that we had talked last time, and we said we were gonna get back to it, obviously, after more time, because we had talked about what out-of-town versus in-town renters and profit versus non-profit organizations, and what kind of different rental structure you guys were gonna think about for that. Have you developed one yet, or you're still in the process of doing that, or?
Yep, so we have a rental contract or a rental application that we have all potential renters fill out, just so that we have all their information. And that goes over whether they're a nonprofit or a profit organization, whether they're Milford or out of town Milford. And we have different price range for Milford groups as non-Milford groups. And they also have the opportunity to present and propose something to the Milford Youth Commission and let the Youth Commission kind of decide on a case-to-case basis.
So they'll have the just discretion, like if someone comes in and they're like, we just don't have the money for.
Yep.
Okay, great,
Chris,
perfect, yep, sure.
do we have a number of rental receipts?
I think they have it in their operating budget, which
Yeah.
is what I'm
45,
assuming you're gonna
40
get to that.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Oh, I haven't found that on the drive
It's
yet.
the- yeah, it's the next one.
$45,000 per year, $45,000 per year.
Is the budget or how much did we see?
How much we
How much we
receive.
receive. Revenue.
And the divider obviously is gonna be a huge
Exactly.
improvement to your rentals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes?
Is anyone else before they move to the next topic? Alberto?
We talked about helping out the people with no money in town and kids.
Mm-hmm.
Do we ever help out Special Olympics and that?
They have every Monday night from November 13th to March 5th for free.
Thank you, you've held up your promise.
Good answer.
I've hounded them enough about Special Olympics, they know.
Very simple, they made a promise and they just said they
No,
held it.
and they
That's
did.
good.
Excellent.
So, you have numbers next to all these rental organizations. Is that ranked by how often or?
No, that's just a running
Okay.
list of.
No, because I saw Milford High School up top, and my next question is, we don't charge, Milford government departments any fee for
No,
that?
so Milford High School, they come in and they use some of our classrooms for tutoring.
Okay.
At no charge.
At no charge.
Same thing with the senior center, no charge?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
they
charge.
come in the mornings
Yeah.
for walking in the winter months.
Okay, just wanna make sure, thank you.
I'm not there yet. Sue Trot hasn't let me in yet.
You'll have your chance in about 20 minutes, Al.
All right, guys, what do you got?
We also provided, you guys had asked about a summer camp update as well. So this was our 7-week camp that we had for obviously during the summer months. It's a paid program. We find it pretty affordable. It's $140 a week or $50 a day, and that includes 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., all field trips, of lunch provided, no charge, additional to that fee. We had over 95 families this summer participate, and if you just see with the breakdown, we had a surplus of just under $5,000. We were able to provide 14 partial scholarships and some full scholarships to families that needed it too. So we are able to supplement that with monetary donations that we receive mostly through local banks, which you'll see on the spreadsheet. Do you guys have any questions on the summer camp budget?
How does that compare to your past camps?
So we have increased, obviously, in the new building in terms of capacity. We don't have our own transportation, so it's really where we can't really increase numbers yet. Maybe in the future, we could look at that, but it's pretty comparable. The biggest thing is to get those donations so that we can provide those scholarship and it doesn't hit our budget.
Anybody else
Do
have a
the
question on
kids use
summer
the
camps?
bus?
Do the kids use the bus? The public bus? Some of our high schoolers, not for summer camp, of course, but that's a different whole program. But you have to be 14 or older to use that without a parent. So some of our schools, we're not able to provide, they're not able to provide the transportation that's needed for those younger kids that attend our program.
Are you talking about our bus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the $250,000
Yeah.
bus.
We're trying, so we have outreach at the high school, so we've been promoting it so that the high schoolers, because it's not really within walking distance, especially in colder months. So our AmeriCorps member who goes to the high school once a month has been promoting the bus program so that they utilize it to get to the youth center. There's a stop that's close enough that they can walk to, but outside of that age range, it's not really something really appropriate for kids by themselves to go, so.
Where's your prime age range for summer camp?
For summer
Middle
camp, it's
school
8 to
kids?
14.
8 to 14?
Yeah, for the after-school program, it's 8 to 18.
How old? 8 to 18 for
18 for the
after
after-school program.
school? Now, you had 288.
as of now, from the beginning of school to current, yep.
At what number would you have to turn people away?
Our capacity is 776.
That's plenty, okay, just
Yeah,
wanna make sure that we're
and,
not.
but we obviously, we have to staff accordingly as well, so we've increased staff a lot
So
since.
anyone who signs up gets a spot, there's no,
Uh-huh, yeah, it's open enrollment, yep.
At 7:70, you'd need a detail outside.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. I don't really know if the capacity.
Any other questions on summer camps before they go to their operational budget?
So the only real difference you'll see in our operating budget from what we presented last year to this year is some just increasing in staffing predominantly. I mean, we've increased our staff by probably almost 8 to 10 part-time staff members to really accommodate not only the after-school needs, but the rental needs. And, you know, we're just still
That's
looking.
being covered by income, right?
Yeah.
That's all covered by, like,
Yep.
our increase in rentals helps provide more staff.
Yeah.
And when you say helps, that gets me nervous.
What do you mean?
What do you mean helps? Does it pay for?
It covers the
Covers.
staff.
Covers.
Words like
Staff
cover I
rate
like,
Yeah.
helps, gets me a little nervous.
Covers the staff.
Perfect.
Yes, yes. The part of the rental fee includes, we have a cost for the.
As long as it
staff.
covers, I'm a happy person.
Covers.
It's on the top left hand corner.
Questions?
You want to see the operational budget?
Income, it's not a balance sheet.
All right. With that being said, does anyone have any questions for them?
I'm just trying to find.
I have
out.
a request, if we, you know, I see the budget and everything. I would like, if we could in the next time around, to kind of show line by line the change from last year's budget.
Yeah, that's,
Just,
yeah, that's easy.
yeah, just so we have a reference of what it was from last year.
Yep,
Yeah, that'd be great if you can get that to your subcommittee.
okay.
17 versus 18.
Yep.
That would actually be some very good
Yeah,
information.
that's all.
As long as that last line, break even, stays there.
Anything you have 17 versus 18, and I'm sure once you get it in a spreadsheet, you can just comparatively, that'd be, I mean, verbally you just gave it to us, but if we had it for the record, that'd be fantastic.
And it would only be staffing.
It's pretty much
No,
staffing.
that's easy.
Yeah.
I can help.
Can we standardize these reports in conformance to what the town budget process is?
Yeah, we can,
Because, to be quite honest, I got lost in the meeting. And I'm used to looking at these budgets, because I'm expecting the format that we're used to dealing with everybody. And I'm not being critical, don't get me wrong, because I understand you're doing a great job. But every time I look at a budget and everybody develops their own format, I have to go re-educate myself back to the basics again. And if we just,
no, that's a great point, Jerry, and to be honest with you, we really have not stuck that on you guys before. We've been just trying to get you guys to where you are now, which is
phenomenal.
beyond phenomenal. From what you guys were, and let's not talk about it, to where you are now is phenomenal. So, but to Jerry's point, if now that we have you to, you know, the 20th century now,
Is there a template for that? Do you
we can
have-
talk to Zach about the way that we.
Zach can probably help you set it
Okay.
up. But when I
Exactly.
look at the library budget, it comes in this way. I look at the police budget, it.
That's fair, we've just never even
Yeah,
had a
but-
budget.
Amy, the
so
good Dr.
that's-
Brown is nodding his head, so.
Yeah. So he'll.
He can help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect.
That way we know what they're spending. Right, it's not mission critical, but we can start to compare apples to
And
apples.
it's easier.
Thank you.
You know, it will be once you get the template. It's just the numbers will just show up in a different way for us. We just like familiarity
makes
and that
sense.
kind of stuff. So,
we know we're tracking to.
no question. Very good point, Jerry. Mike.
Are the utilities handled outside of the operating budget?
General government,
For the youth center?
Yes.
Tom picks up the tab.
that's town manager's job.
There's no record of it anywhere?
It's
No,
in the
it's
general
in our
government budget.
It's in the-
Oh, do I have it broken out
You
here?
mean line
I
item
don't-
wise?
Yes, yeah.
I don't
It's actually in, Rick Valani's budget.
Yeah, but does he break it out?
Or is it bundled in with other?
It's broken out.
It's broken out.
Yeah,
It's
it's,
under youth services, I believe.
it's way down on the bottom. I can remember seeing it.
I'll get that for you,
It
Mike.
doesn't make.
I'll get it for everybody.
Thank you,
Yeah,
okay.
utilities.
how much it costs to heat that building,
Well, that's the point, you know, why shouldn't we break those costs out so we understand what the true costs are?
I know, Zach. They have that all broken out, but we'll get that information. That's a very good point.
Take it out of Rick's budget, and
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Utility.
Again, it just have it conform
I
to.
agree, I
Yep.
agree.
And it should be, that's, very important information, because that is obviously a very high cost.
We have a
utility.
responsibility to do that on this committee and maintain that kind of.
And I know we did when we looked at the budget last time for them, we did break it down, but for this presentation and going forward,
When they do
We'll
the
have
new
it.
template, they
Yep.
can just
Yeah.
put it in.
Yep.
Because whether we budget it, whether Joycey looks at it one way or the other,
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
Because
line
the
that we
figure's
budgeted
there, so when
in
you look
Valani's
at it-
budget, we'll
That's
take it out of
correct.
his, put it in yours.
Yeah.
Net to the town is the same.
Yeah, coming out of the same
I
pot.
think the original intent was to take the expense load off the youth center and shift it over to general government so that the whole thing.
Yeah.
could-
And that has
could
been done
operate.
between
And it-
utilities
and
and
it's okay.
director and.
No, initially,
yeah.
we never paid for the electric, Jerry. We never paid their utilities.
No, this is new.
No.
We didn't.
This,
Okay.
that line item got entered when they came before us and said, we'd like to be treated as every other
Yep.
department or municipal building. So we created a line, we just created it in Rick's budget, I don't know why. We can move it. I mean, that's just a Zach and a Dr. Brown thing.
Yeah.
Chris, I'm just a little confused on the income part of this statement, right? So you got $32,000 for the Teachers Driving Academy. Is
Yeah.
that how much you expect to get from the academy? What you've already gotten from?
You receive that pretty regularly annually from TDA, so it does cross over in fiscal year, but when you look at the pattern, there's 7 sessions of the TDA classroom, and we receive every $99 check from someone participating in that program.
Right.
And so this is a real number from last
Last
fiscal
year,
yeah.
so you're expecting the same amount of people to take the driving academy?
Yeah, it's a forecast.
Right, it's a forecast, right?
Well, it's half forecast,
And
it's
the
half
delta-
actual.
Oh, I'm sorry?
It's half actual, because last year
Half
they,
actual, so.
yeah. What she's saying
That's
is
an Alism if I ever heard one.
that's crossing, it's crossing the fiscal year, so you're getting, half your money is actual received from last year, and then the other half for this year.
I'm gonna stick with forecasted,
Yeah, so
and I think that
this
that's
is
what we should call
different
it.
than a department's budget, where
Yes.
we know what they're gonna get, right?
Yeah.
So
Because
they
the
don't
town
follow
has
our
given
fiscal
them
year.
money.
No, not that, from what I understand, their
This is
driving
income and
Yeah,
is
all
a
of-
calendar
Right.
year.
Exactly. All of our revenue is from either grants, fundraisers, donations, and
Right.
it's nothing, we have nothing from our revolving account that you're seeing. This is all revolving account.
Understand, Jim. So the $8,000 donation number is a number that you think you're gonna get?
Forecast.
It's a forecasted
Yes.
number. What have you gotten to date in the current fiscal year?
This fiscal year, our current, what our ending balance is as of today, or?
What have you received in donations that you applied to this budget of 2017?
From teachers driving.
No, you've got a line that says donations, $8,000.
Yeah, so, for donations for FY18, we have actually $13,000, so, but the problem is, I like to break it up where some of that money, because the way Zach and the town, how they allocate the funds, that's donations is actually, TDA is considered a donation, so we have currently $13,000.
So my big concern is that since this is a forecasted income for the department, do the expenses, the services or the supplies that you have down at the bottom of the sheet, do they get adjusted if you don't get the income that you were projecting on the top of the sheet?
So,
Because if you want to balance them, right? You don't want to
Exactly,
overrun or.
Exactly. I meet with Zach frequently, so we looked at FY17, and a lot of this has to go on based on, like you said, forecasts of what we did last year. If we're doing the same type of fundraising, the same type of programs, and for the most part, with the exception of, like I said, staffing increased. The other number that you would see and I have FY17 budget, I should have had that for you guys to look at. The other comparable, what increased was our programming.
Right.
Because our expenditure in programming, because we have now 600 youth that we're
Yes.
estimating all these numbers on,
Exactly.
so.
So it's more dynamic than another department.
Yeah.
Because you have to be aggressively staying with in order to achieve the income, if you're gonna have those programs and expenses on the bottom line, so that we don't fall into the situation.
So if
we
you
had-
didn't have
Yes.
600 kids, you would cut back on the staffing and balance it out.
Yeah. And that's
That's the difference, Michael.
monitored weekly, monthly.
No, but that's the difference. In a lot of the other budgets, we hire.
Yeah, you hire, because they've got a number. This town is gonna give you a library $1 million, right?
Right.
We
We don't
can't
have
do
this
that.
money.
They don't do
That's
that.
On the revolving accounts, it is
So
fluid
it's
in which it
different.
has
It
to
needs to be
constantly
managed differently.
September,
It's dynamic. It's an ongoing-
September, October, and then like May and June have lower numbers because the weather's nice out, kids are playing outside. We cut staff back to accommodate that we have fewer kids in the building.
You're
And-
doing a good job of running a good business. I like it. I like it.
And how are you, just one last, and how are you,
Keep the tabs on things.
communicating to the general public the programs that you have here at the youth center, so that we have people always saying, I didn't know there was that basketball program.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was this, right?
So we do send our newsletter, which is out the first Monday of every month, and it's sent out right now to over 3,000 members. So that's constantly, we're adding people, whether they sign up for it
Is that
or,
a hard copy or email?
it's an email. Yeah, we do have a hard copy at the youth center for people to view, and
And
then
at
we
the town
actually,
hall.
at the town hall as well, you're right.
But I can give you my email and I can.
Exactly, yeah. We have every social media.
Right.
And we have a website. We have outreach at 3 of the schools where the age ranges overlap for our programming, so we do that on a monthly basis as well. So we have a staff member go to the lunch hours,
Right.
and they pass out our calendars and our programming. And I mean, we're at every community event in town. so.
Is there a
Excellent.
link from the
There-
town's website to your website?
There is, yes.
There is, okay.
Yep.
And of course, half the town is watching tonight's finance committee meeting, so we're
Now
getting
they'll know.
their communications. right.
Absolutely.
We have more than 8 people watching.
We've got the whole town's watching right now. So, anyways, thank you, Jen, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Anyone else have any questions? I have a question, and it's been brought up to me. Can you explain to me your scaffolding situation?
So it's gonna be removed shortly. We've been pushing for that. So there
I
has.
don't, can you just, I know what's going on, but,
Okay, yeah.
but can you just let everyone else know what's going on?
So it's a problem from the renovation. It's being handled through the renovation committee. There is water penetration into the building, and it's a point of default of one of the contractors. So we've had to go through this 3-stage process to basically find out what's going on and who's at fault. It's a very long process, and that's why you've seen it. I mean, you have to have a month for the building to cure in order to find out to do the next water testing. So we finished the testing, we've had the meeting, we've actually had a renovation meeting last week, Monday, what day is today? And we're now taking the corrective measures to kind of force the contractor to fix the error.
So the contractor's paying for it?
Yes.
Is
Oh,
there
I like
damage,
that too.
is there damage in the building at all?
There is some internal damage, but they're, in the process of what they're gonna have to fix is also gonna be demanded the internal damage.
Has the leak been patched yet, or not, or?
So that's
We
the
had a big
problem.
rain last night, how did it?
Trust me, it's not the most ideal situation for us, because we're trying to, as most we can, we're trying to maintain the building. Unfortunately, the process of fixing this is also temperature related, so it will have to be in the spring when they fix it, so we're gonna have to.
Gonna leak all winter, or freeze
It's
or something?
not a constant leak, it's just,
When the snow starts to melt, one or the other, okay, all right.
Oh, man.
But hopefully the scaffolding will be gone soon, because obviously it's a safety measure too. So
People have
that
asked me, that's
will-
why, yeah.
And we would like it.
I'm sure.
Do they have Jerry Moody, legal counsel, involved in this?
He- yeah.
he's aware of it, we're going.
Is he actively involved?
It's not at that point yet. We've gone through the process of the
If
3
you got a
testing.
contractor in default, he needs to
no,
be
he-
involved.
He knows what's,
Yeah,
he's involved, yes.
It's not gone to the point of litigation, is what I'm saying.
As far as, he is involved and aware,
Okay.
yes.
I'm sure Brian's kept him in the loop. so.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no, he's well aware of it. It's
Yeah.
just, I'm just not saying it's got to the
He looks
point
out his
that-
window and sees it, so.
Yeah, I mean,
So we don't need to allocate any funds to repair the building and then get reimbursed by the contractor? We're gonna let the contractor step up to what he said he was gonna do, and then he's gonna
That's
fix
at
it?
the stage.
yeah, yes, hopefully that is what is going to happen.
Is that prudent? Should we wait a whole 6 months to fix a leak in a
That's
roof?
the only thing that concerns me is the
Like,
protracted.
you gotta trust the renovation committee.
Okay.
Right.
And I know that
Should the
Brian sent
renovation
a-
committee come up and talk to us about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
yep. Because then I won't ask you about the heating situation. Should I say that for Brian or no?
Our heat is working like pretty, the money that was allocated has
Yes.
made we've had the heat on
Yeah,
and we've
they-
had no issues as of
No
yet.
issues?
They fixed
As
it?
of yet, no.
None.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh,
So that
great.
was resolved.
Perfect.
Keep coming with good news, we like it.
We do too.
Does anybody else have any other comments for the youth commission? I thought you did good last time, not the article time, the last time. You did even better this time. I mean, you guys, you know, it's just a phenomenal job that you guys have done. Like I said, I don't want to talk about the muddy waters of before, but I mean, it's wonderful now to see everything you guys have done, the programs, the outreach that you're doing, the numbers that they're going up. I love your login system that we can actually now measure. We don't have to take your word for it. Like, honestly, there's more kids coming. I mean, we can see here the logins of, what's the word? Individualized?
Unduplicated.
Unduplicated users. Because that's the true test of your enrollment. Because if Billy is running in and out the door and we don't have that system, we're not getting accurate numbers. And that's really the only way to truly do it. So keep up the good work. Take care of the Special Olympics.
Of course.
And
And anyone else.
anyone else.
Yeah, take care of all of our
Yeah,
kids.
absolutely. And you guys are doing a great
Said
job
from
with
the
that.
beginning,
And if
kids
you
that
see
go
the
there are
listings.
no more special, no less special.
Yep.
4,200 other kids we have.
They're all special.
So we keep abreast of the situation with the water.
I have it here that I'll talk to Brian about coming in.
Even if we just get an email update or something, so
Yep,
we.
absolutely.
That's-
know-
Yep,
Yep.
of course.
No, I'll reach out to Brian. Brian sent out an email, when was that?
That was, what, the end of last week, coming into the
End of
meeting
last week,
on
and I don't know if
Monday.
anyone got it, but I got it. And I can forward that along to you with what the situation was. I'll forward that
You'll
email
even
along.
probably have more updates now.
Yeah, so I'll,
Solid, because we met as a renovation committee meeting, you know.
perfect. So I'll forward that email that Brian sent, as well as I'll look for him for a follow-up on that, regarding the leak situation. All right, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
And the meeting's over, they all got up and left.
It's getting too hot in here anyway. All right, Scotty?
Feels great.
So the next item on the agenda, I wanted Scott to come in. It's also been a while since we heard some information from the MWRTA bus situation. I know it's been a hot topic for a lot of the members on this board to get an update. I know that Scott and his committee have really worked hard on pulling the teeth of getting numbers. And I know that, I think they're finally at a place now where they're getting good numbers, so, I didn't get anything, so I don't know if you
Oh, you
have
didn't?
numbers
I
to.
sent it to you.
I'll check my email now, but, if you could just verbally do it, that's fine.
Shoot.
Don't worry about it.
Actually, I'd like to see the numbers.
Yeah, no, I'll pass them on to you. I have one copy. I did send them.
Maybe you did, and I apologize, it could have gone into, if not, I can get them posted.
I haven't pulled it now. Do you want me to email it to you?
Yeah, and I can get it online, so if you wanna hand things out, or start, and I'll get it posted up on the drive for everybody.
Well, if you guys want to pass this around, I mean, this is the yearly numbers.
Yeah. I just want to,
That's the yearly numbers, every month up to now.
64, do the numbers justify continuing? That's what we're here to find out.
Well, why don't you guys
Well,
open up and see what you got?
wish you guys had the numbers.
I'm gonna put them up right now,
Okay.
so if you want,
Make-
verbally,
make
how's
copies.
everything going?
Make
Good,
copies.
good. I mean, I'll start with the numbers, I guess. If you notice, the 1 year anniversary, we're at 10,044 riders, which I don't think is a small number. It's quite impressive, actually.
For a year? Whole year?
Yeah.
That's,
You compare a year ago to, it's hard for us to
on and
compare
off.
months right now.
that's an
Yeah.
on and off,
Yeah, it's on and off.
So it's
good months
half
and
of
bad
that.
months.
is a rider.
No, not necessarily. Some get on, don't have, some get on.
And never get off?
Yeah, you have to get off, I guess. You're right.
Yeah, you lost me there.
Yeah, well, it's a
You
ride.
lost me there.
Yeah, but well,
Charlie, you-
but once you're on, you're not considered a rider, and then getting off is not considered a rider. You know what I'm saying? You only get a rider when you get on.
It's not like they go someplace and then they walk home, right?
Do we count
But
on
that
getting on
number
or
is
getting off?
on and off numbers.
No, it's not. It's just people getting on.
Right.
number, we count both.
What?
It's just
All right,
people
guys,
getting
the-
on.
The same person gets counted twice.
The information is up on the drive.
Different number.
It's just people
This is
getting
just
on.
board. That's just people getting on.
Folks, the numbers are up on the
But
drive.
you're right, Mr. DeVita. If it's only people getting on, it's only half physical people. Because they're gonna get on when they go to a place. Then after they go to the place, and they're gonna go home, they're gonna get on again.
Not necessarily. Sometimes
Gonna
people
walk
take.
home?
Sometimes they take one-way trips. Sometimes they get a ride.
No, but when they get on again, it's another rider.
It's the same person, though.
Another rider.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
That's how transportation works.
This tax,
Guys,
I
all
let
right,
him-
can we,
Right.
can you explain to them how ridership works?
They have to pay the toll, they have to pay the toll getting on
Hey,
again.
Questions, how many
Gentlemen.
people are riding the bus?
Gentlemen,
Basically, every time someone pays a fare, get on a bus, they're a rider.
Exactly, I
So
understand
if they get
that.
off and get back on, they're paying
Just
another
trying to
fare,
see how
they're
many
a rider.
physical human beings are actually using the bus.
Some may be transfers that paid on another line. That we don't know how many.
10,044 are the number of physical people that have ridden the bus since it started.
I understand that. It's still not my point, but that's okay. We'll get past it.
10,000
You went
now,
on
wait, but now you
duplicate
got me confused.
individuals.
10,000 is the
So is
number
only
of
one
rides.
person, right?
10,044.
So it's it could be 5,000 people, but it's 10,000
It
rides.
could be 25 people. That we don't know.
Well,
Yeah, it could be 25 people.
but if
taking
I
the same
took
ride
an
over.
That's what
Uber,
I'm saying.
I would pay two ways.
But it's still
So
a ride.
it
It could be
counts.
9,000
Right,
rides.
correct.
We just
It
don't know.
counts.
also, you're not, and there is no way to
You have
measure
to pay
that
to get on
either.
every time?
Right.
So,
Measure what?
If you've got 10 people using the bus constantly, and you could say there's 1,000 riders, but it's only 10
Thank
physical
you.
people.
but unfortunately, in the way that the
government.
numbers are being measured, there is no way to Mr. Abundance's point, and just like the youth commission we talked about, unduplicated, there is no method in order to be able to see unduplicated riders versus duplicate riders. To Scott's point, it could be 10 people who just love the bus, and that's what these numbers are. Unfortunately, in the measuring capabilities that they have now on the bus, they can't tell.
And that's with any transit system, because some people are using a Charlie card, and we could track that. Some people are
Yep.
paying cash. You can't really track that with the cash unless you're gonna videotape every person or have them sign into a sheet. That
Right,
type
and the way the board looks at it, the way the MWRTA looks at it, everybody is a rider. When you get on that bus and you pay a fare, you're a rider. Whether you ride it 10 times in one day, you're 10 riders.
So whether we agree with how they measure it, there's no changing that. So let's just look at the numbers for what they are, just with the cliff note or the asterisk that is what it is.
Is there a charge
That's
every
right.
time you get on? Sure. What's the
Yeah.
charge?
It varies. $1.50 for an adult like myself. If I'm paying cash, it's $1.50.
Yeah.
Okay, so all other things being equal, if we had 10,000 riders, it would be $15,000 annual. That's what we're talking about?
But we don't keep that money.
Yeah, that's the.
That goes directly to the MWRTA.
Andy,
They
the
keep
biggest
the
thing
fares.
that we're looking at is how much does it cost per ride? Started out at 40 bucks, it looks like it's flattening out at $25 per ride. So if I get on the bus somewhere in Milford and I get off somewhere in Milford, it's cost us about 25 bucks.
That's because, what is it, 250,000?
250,000, and I'm looking, maybe it's down to
And
20.
that's combined state and town.
Yeah, we have 125,000 of that. Just to quickly go over the finances, first of all, we have yet to pay for the bus. It still has not hit the cherry sheet yet. And talking to Zach today, it's hopefully gonna, not hopefully, because it's a bill, I don't ever want it. But it is eventually gonna hit the 19 cherry sheet. And in that, we will have the 250,000, of which 125,000 will be supplemented by the state. And we still have that China grant of the 50,000 that's gonna hit one time.
I think they discontinued the Chinook.
They discontinued, but we will get it the first time when it hits the cherry sheet in 19, we will have that 50,000. Every year after that, from 20 forward, it will be the 250, hopefully with the 125,000 continuing to be subsidized by the state. So technically, it's costing the town 125,000 per year, with the first year being 75,000.
I don't believe that's the case. When
I
it comes,
checked with
it comes
Zach,
off the cherry sheet, it's money we don't get.
That's correct. We don't
Would have
technically pay.
gotten, that we would have gotten,
That's
so
right.
we are paying for it,
125,000, yeah.
plus what we pay internally, or fund internally.
If we fund anything internally, we currently haven't funded anything internally for the bus as of yet. I know it's maybe anticipated for doing shelters in the future and that type of stuff. Selectman Walsh?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, not that ridership is not important, ridership is important, but I think also what we need to focus on is the service that we're providing to the taxpayers of this community. I used an example, having just experienced it, the bus going to Dana Farm, the bus going to Milford Hospital.
the bus going to the senior center, the bus going to Stop and Shop, the Big Y, giving people rides to medical appointments, to the senior center, to try and get involved in daily activity that may be shut-ins in their home, to get to grocery stores, to pick up some groceries. So I'm not saying that ridership is not important, ridership is important, but we also need to focus on the service that this bus is providing to the people of our community.
Chris?
Alberto.
Mr. Chairman.
With all due respect,
Mr. Chairman.
Mike, I have to disagree with you, because we're not debating whether we should provide to the special needs kids, to anybody, a ride. The question really is, are we providing the best ride with the money we have? Because is the bus the best vehicle, or is it a Milford Uber? You know, we're down with Sue's place, we put a couple extra vans and a couple extra drivers, and they go door to door. So we're not debating, I've never heard us debate whether or not it's worth helping out, you know, the riders who need help. I think we're, at least
Exactly.
everybody
I'm not
here.
saying you're debating it, Al, I'm not saying that.
But I'm saying the
we need
real
to look at
question
the
is,
whole picture, the whole-
$20 a ride, is that the best way to spend? Or is there an alternative? Because there is a concern that the bus goes round and round, and a lot of people are a mile away from any spot, and in the winter, you know, my mother could never, you know, fathom walking 1.5 2 miles to get to the bus.
Well, even if it's not the winter, if you have anybody who's in a semi-weak physical capability, they're not gonna go more than 100 feet. So unless it's going portal to portal, if it's up the hill a 10-minute
But that,
walk.
Michael, that's the question we're trying to
gonna
get
raise
our
my
hands
hand
on.
anymore.
No.
So
Are we
jump in.
providing the best vehicle,
Service.
best service? The question of should we help Milfordians who need help? I haven't heard one person here say, no, kick them to the curb. You know,
I didn't
that,
say that, Al, I didn't- that's
no,
not-
no, I know you didn't, but that, I want it to be clear that the questions we ask, when I say $20 a ride, $24 a ride, I'm just trying to fathom how much would it cost us, you know, Sue's little truck that came pick my mother up once when I was out of town to take her to the doctor. I don't know what that cost, but that was easy. Came to my house, Mom got on the van, I guess, went to the doctor, the van came back, they picked her up and brought her home. I can understand that. Now, whether we expand that versus the bus, or whether the bus is the best way, is I think what we have to become more diligent in exploring, that's all.
Mr. DeVita.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike, you couldn't be a better straight man for me, because what you just stated is absolutely true. But you cannot tell me how many people get dropped off at the hospital. How many people get dropped off at what time during the day at the Big Y? The numbers that we are presented are meaningless in terms of analyzing, are we getting the biggest bang for the buck?
We can tell you.
Well, I haven't finished. Let me finish. I think maybe 6 months ago, we got numbers by stop. And if you look at those numbers and analyze those numbers, that bus is empty in the middle of the day almost 80% of the time.
Right.
So we asked, Mike, and you weren't on the Board of Selectmen at the time, we were rather dubious in approving the budget last year. And in doing so, this body voted to recommend that a letter be written to the Board of Selectmen expanding the duties of this Transportation Subcommittee to encompass analyzing the data, are there better ways, more efficient ways? Should we put 2 buses down at the senior center, for example, so that we do it on demand and we serve the whole town of Milford? So my point is, you are correct. The service that should be provided, we all want to provide. We just want to make sure that we are maximizing the dollars for our taxpayers. And from what I've seen over the past year, you can't make that determination. And we ask for numbers every month. And again, we got numbers, and it's total numbers. That is not sufficient to drive the type of decisions that we need and that your subcommittee needs. So it is what it is. So we're trying to make it better. We want to do the very best thing. We can't do it with the numbers that we're getting, or at least in the format that we're getting.
Just to expound on what Mr. DeVita said, Michael, we totally agree. It's a service to the town. The question is, what's the breadth and acceptance of this bus through the year. So we have a number of 10,000 riders for the first year, okay? 52 weeks a year, right? That's what we're talking about. 192 riders a week, divided by 5. You're talking 38 rides in the week. Divide that by 2 if it's a round trip. We're talking about giving a bus for 19 people.
Moreover, when
It's
I
simple
look at,
math, and it might be off, but just looking simple math about what does 10,000 riders a year equate to? How many people are we actually providing the service to? And to Mr. Correa's point, is there a better way to drive 19 people to their various services versus having a bus go around town? Unless there's a way of expanding the breadth and of acceptance of the bus, so that we're spending $250,000, then it makes sense.
but another point that I want to make is that I call into question the data that you're getting from that, from the bus route. The last numbers that you gave me, Scott, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 months ago, it was by stop. And if you look at the time that they say they drop people off at these particular stops, they don't stop at that stop that period of the day. For example, 1 to 3, they dropped 8 people off at Milford Regional. Well, the bus doesn't go there between 1 and 1:30, for example. So I really question the numbers that you're getting, and I can show you examples of that.
I mean, the
I'm-
bus isn't always on time.
Yeah,
but-
absolutely.
Guys just throw bad.
No, no, no.
I have answers to all
Yeah,
this, but you
absolutely.
just gotta let me speak for a
Yep.
minute.
Okay.
The bus gets behind schedule up to 15, 20 minutes a day. It catches back up, so the times do vary all day long. Brian has rode the bus
Multiple times at this
multiple
point.
times, and he has notes, and every day it's a different story. It's a different problem. It's a
I'm not
different.
surprised.
It's a different amount of time. There are a lot of wheelchairs being picked up now, and that takes time, and that kind of adds to it. But they do catch up on time after one run around. They actually get back on time again. So it
Traffic's a
changes.
pain in the neck, too.
It can be, certainly, certainly.
In what, we do have accurate numbers. These are the accurate numbers. I'll pass these out too if you don't have those.
I put them up on the drive. Yeah.
That's just the month of September, right? September.
Is it by stop, Scott?
It's by stop, but not by hour. It's just by stop, by day. So,
But we need it by time of day.
yeah, but what you're gonna find is, if you go every month, like, you pick out one stop on you, you'll see every 1 month it's 100, next month it's 40. It's different all the time. There's
That
no.
could be. I'm not debating
So to
that, but
break it down into
show
time
me
is
the
very
numbers.
difficult. I
I
mean,
mean, if you were running a business,
I know, but the point is, they're not gonna stop going to this stop between 1 and 2 every day to go to another stop. You see what I'm saying? They can't do that. They have to go to every stop that's on their schedule. So if it's one person, it's one person. If it's 10, it's 10.
if the bus is
depends
empty,
what time it is.
if the bus carries one person hypothetically between 10 and 12 PM, is that the best use of the money?
Well, the next day could carry 30 people.
Yeah, but
Between
So
that
you
time
can't,
period.
you can't determine what it's gonna
Well,
do.
We see that in the fluctuations on a stop-by-stop basis.
and I've seen that too. I've seen that too.
I don't think there's ever a time there's no riders on the bus anymore. I think those days are gone. You've ridden it, you've seen no riders? I mean,
The times that I've been on it, there's always been other people, on it, absolutely. Not full to capacity
No, if
by
you
any
take-
means, but there are other people.
if you take your full ridership for the year, September to September, we're up almost 100% a year later, in 1 month.
Yeah. So now at this
So
point,
we don't, now we're gonna actually see what the numbers, if they're gonna change, if they're growing, or if we're losing, or if it's staying the same. We will know.
To me, unless you present the data by stop, we're spinning our wheels.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep, Mike.
So, you know, one thing, if you get too much into the weeds, I mean, even if you find that between 10 and noon, there's no one on the bus, it's not like we can take away the bus loop for 2 hours. Where are they gonna, you know, that driver's not gonna go back to the bus station and drive a different loop. So I think the bottom line number is what we should focus on. 10,000 riders, Al, you said it was $25 a ride. That's, you know, is that the right vehicle for 10,000 rides? And as we can see, September year-over-year growth was almost 100%. So is this the right vehicle again for the growth that we may be seeing over the next year? Because now we're in the second year. So I'm willing to take a look at that and see how trend is and make sure that it continues on this path. But if obviously, if it doesn't continue to grow, or if it shrinks in size and scale, then yeah, we should look at different vehicles and different programs to provide 10,000 rides at a cheaper rate.
Can I ask just one more question, please? Scott, did your committee ever receive the letter from the selectmen that we wrote to the selectmen?
I didn't send it to Scott. I sent it just to the town administrator and the chairman.
That's right.
I didn't
but-
send it to Scott.
I know that, but you would think that the selectmen would at least discuss it with them. So that's why I asked. I wanted to be updated.
I
Maybe.
just want to let you know I didn't send it to him. so-
No, I know you didn't.
Okay.
We didn't ask you to.
No, we didn't receive.
You never received it. Mike, could you take that as a follow-up item and find out where that is and why the selectmen haven't done anything with it? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alberto?
I think at the end of the day, I mean, my number's off from yours by one. You know, if you take 1,000 rides a month, 20 days, that's 50. You know, you divide it by 2, because you assume somebody is going and coming. You're dealing with 19 or 20 people a day. And I think the fundamental question we have to become more diligent on is this bus the right or the best way to deliver 20 rides a day?
And that's not 20 physically
I mean, 20
individual people. That's the same person 5 days a week.
Doesn't matter.
Could be.
It doesn't matter, because
Doesn't
if I get
matter.
on in the morning, go back and forth, I get on at night, if there was a Milford Uber out of the senior center, that would still be 4 rides.
Right.
So we can't get hung up on, is it really 20 people, is it 18 or 10? One way or another, there seems to be 20 round trips
You look
on
at it as
average.
fares, each fare, that's all.
Yeah, just on average. So we gotta keep looking to say, right now, it's running us $24 a ride. What would it cost to provide that service? Right now, we're providing that service on a loop, not direct portal to portal. And then there's a lot of questions we gotta watch. And then we gotta make sure that when we're saying we pay $1.25, because the state pays $125, if we went to a Milford Uber, would they still pay their share, or would we bear the whole $250?
They wouldn't pay any of
Well,
that.
that's
I know
what I'm
that-
saying,
well,
Chris.
Okay, but when they did the initial investigation about this, that was one of the benefits of the MWRTA, is that you had to supplement from the state the 125,000. Am I correct in that? Yes. Thought so.
But I don't believe that's the way it works. I believe we pay, but it comes off the cherry sheet.
Yes, we technically
Yeah,
don't
but
write a check
one way or
for
another,
anything.
Bobby,
It
whether
costs
they
us
don't
money.
give it to us or we pay,
Yeah.
it's money out of our tax
At the end of the day, it's
pocket.
That's money out of our
125,000
tax
less money for
pocket,
the
right.
town of Milford.
You know, so I'm not real hung up on whether they
Right,
don't
right.
pay us or if they
Right.
pay us and we pay it back.
Right.
You're
Agreed.
100% right.
Right.
It's real money coming out of our pocket.
Agreed.
And what we have to look at is, are we spending it the best way? That's all.
And the dollar figure to focus on, at least in year 2 here, is that 125 figure. In year 1, I think it was even smaller, if I'm
It was
correct.
because we had the $50,000
Yeah.
Chenal grant, it was
Right.
75,000.
Right, so on a year-to-year basis, we actually haven't spent $250,000 per year. So the number per ridership right now is actually even smaller.
Right, instead of 25, it's 12. But I worry that, I may be wrong, but I was under the impression that the 125 from the state isn't guaranteed forever.
Never,
It's
never will be on
nothing's
a
ever
year-to-year
guaranteed.
basis.
So
Absolutely.
my conservative nature says, if I'm not sure I'm gonna get the money, I'm gonna judge it against the 250 and take the 125 as a windfall.
Sure.
You know, that's all.
And I think to that point too, if we don't see
Figure 250.
an increase in ridership on a now year-to-year basis, every month, then we should be concerned and should be looking at other potential.
In your first months, when I'm saying 12,000 a year, because the first month it was in business, it was 60 people, or 60 rides.
For 3 days, yeah.
I'm discounting that.
That's
No,
actually
but,
not bad.
Scotty, I'm discounting it.
Right.
I'm looking
We're
at the
not counting
last
that.
few
We don't even
months,
count
it's
that.
been 700 to 900,
Right.
and that's gonna come out normalized at about 10,000 rides a year. That feels better to me. I'm not gonna look at 60 rides one month, because we opened the doors that day.
Sure.
But, yeah, again, I think we're beating a dead horse. We have to watch carefully.
Well, we're basically here to give you the information, so that's what, And we do watch it closely, and we do ride the bus, and we do pay attention. I've had numerous meetings with the MWRTA in their offices, talking about different things, straighten up the numbers, get them accurate. Now we have a system where they give us the numbers.
Hold on a second. There must be something important.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Sidebar.
Go ahead.
They
I
give
just
us-
couldn't hear him.
They give us the numbers the second week of the following month. So September's, we got the second week of October. They are accurate numbers. Before, we were asking for them at the very end of the month. They were scrambling, trying to get it done. The numbers were inaccurate. And then they'd come back with the accurate numbers after. We always had a problem because the numbers never matched. But now we've got it settled up. They automatically send them. So they are working with us. They want to know, they want to make sure we get what we need.
Cool.
So the
Is
numbers
it
should be
by
accurate.
stop? Is it by stop, by time of day?
It's by whatever, they, she said they have it all? This is exactly what they're sending, what you have. The,
I
I
haven't
have the
seen it.
date, cash, Charlie total. That's
have
what
each stop by the month, how many per month? You have each day, how many per day, and then the total for the month.
I don't think I have what you gave me the last time we were here. It listed the
Do you have
stop
this?
by
Do they have
time
this?
of day.
I have what Mike just forwarded to me what you had, and so that's up here, but I just have September.
All you have is, right, we haven't
Right.
got October, we won't get that till next week.
Yep. Oh, I thought you were saying we had
It's 2
different
weeks
months,
after
but
the
we have
past
that
week,
month,
right.
yep. And that we have the
So,
stops,
you
yep,
know,
and the boards, yep.
You know, hopefully that's higher than last year, I mean, that's the hope. So,
Chairman?
Yep.
Scott, I was wondering if your committee feels that the program is being publicized enough, or is it falling short?
we're doing everything we can, I mean, it
Do you
costs
feel
money
it's
a lot of times.
reaching people or not?
Oh, yeah, yeah, we did the town crier August. The route was in the town crier, and that cost us almost $1,000. So it's very expensive to advertise, but we're doing
full
handouts,
page.
we've done multi-language handouts at all the stops, different stores in town. We've had people from different organizations do it for us that wanted to get the word out.
Like you just heard from the youth center. They have somebody at the high school who's advertising,
Yeah.
hey, get from the high school to the youth center utilizing the bus service. So we do have that.
Who's us? Cost us $1,000.
The committee had a
We had money
donation.
donated to us. to
Okay,
spend.
didn't cost the town anything.
No, correct.
It was donated.
Because I remember the MW LMNOP said that they would come up with money for advertising.
Yeah, that has
As long
not
as
been.
it's not Milford money, Scotty, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I can't tell you that's been happening. They gave us, the MWRT gave us route tubes that go on the signs where the bus stops are, and they spin, and they have the route in there. We're in the process of getting those ready to put up. And I think the highway department's gonna do that, so won't be no cost to the
'Cause I don't
town.
wanna get into it tonight, but I mean, they had definitely promised that they were gonna help do promotions.
They haven't
too,
done a
so-
lot. I can be honest, they
So,
have not.
that's why I don't wanna open that can of worms tonight, but that was definitely one of the things they promised.
Besides their own website, they keep that up to date, and anything new they put on there, but, they haven't done a lot.
But
And
the
I don't
problem
know
is
what
that
exactly was
line item-
promised, so.
That line item was about $1,000, so, like we said, we spent $1,000 on one full-page ad on the paper, so even if they spend what they were promised, it's not much.
Okay.
As far as having issues with them up there at MWRTA, it's my understanding the chairman of the Board of Selectmen is a representative of the town of Milford with the board up
Will
there.
Kincaid is right now, yes. Will Kincaid, yep.
So I'm saying that that's another channel to go up there and ask, why are you not keeping your end of the bargain?
Yeah.
They gave us a bus shelter. We have to install it, but they gave us a bus shelter.
Okay, where you can put that?
I think we're gonna do it right here at Town Hall.
Perfect.
I was out there at a meeting, and we went out back, we saw a bunch of bus shelters, all different styles and kinds. I'm like, what are you doing with all those? And they said, well, you want one? I said, yeah, of course we want one. So we just have to matter of picking it up and setting it up, so.
You know somebody at the highway department can do that?
Yeah.
When he gets some
pull there.
time.
It's some big trucks to move.
We also have an Eagle Scout who is going to be part of his project. I'm not sure how that all works, but he will be building 3, I think, benches for us for various stops. So that will go.
Pretty cool.
I think we talked about what would stop Shaw's.
We had Shaw's, the high school, and Rolling Green.
Right.
We never know how the Eagle Scouts work. All we know is they're great kids and they do great things, and we're always happy.
Yeah, and the highway department donated them some concrete for that, so.
You can lean on Dr. Rudd.
What else we got? That's it. Yeah, so that's about it. I mean, I think going forward, we gotta watch the ridership. We'll pay attention to it. We'll try to get as much information as we can, but to get the information we have now, took this long to get it right. So now we can add to it and adjust what we need, and we will.
I think that was a lot of the frustration too, that I know that I had, and I know some membership about the issue with the numbers.
The fact that it's at one format now is great.
Yep, no question. This is,
I think to Mr. Nicholson's point, which is a great point, maybe Scott, if you and Brian could get together and get to the Board of Selectmen a list of the promises or the services that were supposed to be delivered by the MWTRA to the Board of Selectmen, we can bring them in and say, you know, hey, listen, there's, you know, for example, you promised to give so much for advertising, we really haven't seen that happen, you know, not to, you know, call them on the carpet, but have a conversation. And maybe we can help there with that.
Yeah, I would like to know exactly what's promised. This board didn't exist back then. It
Right.
wasn't really
Yeah.
involved in it until it actually happened, so I'm not sure, and it'd be good to know that. And I don't know who has that information, the selectmen maybe, I don't know. You know,
Yeah, but I just know that was part of the initial, when we had
I'll talk to the
discussion.
town
we talked-
administrator tomorrow.
yeah, whatever, well, I'm not exactly sure, but.
Yep.
Thank
I'd
you,
like to know.
thank you.
Scotty, do you know if the route is dynamic, it'll still be adjusted or changed at all? I know with the new Stop and Shop going in where the Kmart was.
Yeah, there's
there'd
there's
a stop.
definitely gonna be changes. Reliant Medical's moving.
Right.
November 20th, they're gonna change locations, and the bus route's gonna change to their
Right,
location.
I have physical therapy up there, I bet I could use the bus.
There you go.
Scotty, I'd be careful to make sure that what was presented to us is absolutely accurate. Because in the emotion of getting it going, you may have somebody say, well, they promised to do this.
Yes.
And they may not have. We may have asked them. So the easiest thing is just go through the contract and all and figure out what they really are on the hook for. Because I'd hate to go in and, you know, Mike Walsh told us they promised, and they say, who?
I don't think there is a contract.
Yeah, I'm not sure what there is. I don't know.
Handshake.
We'll,
Handshake and
we'll talk to the
understanding.
town administrator and we'll take a look at that.
Oh, then set a new baseline, Michael. Just say, we believe this is the baseline, do you agree?
Yes.
So then at least we have something to refer to as a base document. Because right now, and again, I'm not trying to defend the MWLMNOP, I'm just saying, let's be fair.
Brian, did you have something?
Yeah, just to Mr. Scabby's question, we're doing our best to keep the route as consistent as possible and try to keep changes to 6 months or so, just because simply to the point of the schedule and advertising and getting a new schedule out. But obviously, in certain cases, like as you mentioned, the Stop and Shop, Reliant, you know, those things need to happen. And unfortunately for those two changes, they're gonna happen at about the same time. The Stop and Shop, I think, is December roughly, and November 20th for the Reliant change. So,
Okay, good.
you know, they're helping us out quite a bit with that as well in terms of the, you know, the website's already up to date with the
Right.
change for the 20th, that type of stuff, so.
All right, thank you, that's great, that's good to hear.
Anyone else have anything else?
If you want to get an eyeful, look at what was sent out. I mean, this tells you by stop. You
At least
look,
get some tape to,
well, you look at these, and you know, there's, after 7 o'clock at night, it's 9 months worth of data, we had 27 riders.
Put up on the board up there.
Well, we can. I mean, and this is what you gave me. It was August through April. And this was by stop, by time of day. And that's what you really need to analyze, how we get, in my opinion, for what it's worth. To tell, where should we expand the route? Should we cut the route down? Or should we look at some alternate means?
anybody else?
Thank you.
Well, maybe periodically we can get an update like that. You know what I
Why
mean?
can't you get it every day? I don't mean the update, I mean, like, you gotta collect the data every day, right? They do?
Is it manually or automated?
They don't?
Everything they do is
Yeah,
automated.
But you still have
I don't
to
know how often they
assemble
collect
these.
the data. Yes, the drivers keep track of data every day.
By stop, by time of day?
Everything. They keep track of it.
Then we should be able to get it that way.
But it's a matter of them turning in the data, and I don't know how I don't know their system. I actually don't know how they do it. I don't know if that's all collected and done at the end of the month.
The
or what.
system to me is irrelevant. The end product is what I'm interested in. If it's by stop, by time of day, I'm a happy camper.
Hey, Bobby, I'm gonna talk to you about specifics for that, and then I'm gonna pass that along to Chairman Kincaid and these gentlemen in, about what our
I think
request numbers were.
It's been passed along, I would say, but in one form or another.
So.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, let me just, I just make sure we get this right, because I'll send them an email and ask for it again. I just don't want to keep throwing them off.
It's what you gave me, I think, 4 or 5 months ago. It was August through April. So it was probably in the spring that
That
you gave
was
it to
every
me.
stop,
It was
every
every
time,
stop.
every day.
Right. Well, no, it doesn't break it down by day. This was 9 months' worth of data. which is okay.
So 9 months each stop, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of those stops may not exist, I mean, there's changes there, so.
I understand that, I understand that.
zeros in a lot of
When I
cases they
see,
want.
when I see that 109 people got off at the Milford Senior Center at 8 o'clock at night, or even, well, I guess it's 242, I'm not sure. But this really tells a story, because when you look at the zeros and you say, should we be making a stop in 9 months where we picked up a total of 29 people? Probably not. On or off, I'm not sure, you
Nine
can't.
less people you'd pick up if you didn't,
I understand that, but at what price glory?
but you still got the bus, you still got the route for the same
The
amount
bus
of
has
time.
to run the loop. Either way.
You still have the bus running the route for the same amount of time every day, unless
And you
you
can make
cut
a
it down.
determination on whether or not that specific stop should be cut out
I understand.
completely, based off of the whole numbers.
Sure, understood, understood.
Yes, no, we get
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But you'd like to make up that stop somewhere else where it's more worthwhile, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all.
Or
yeah.
maybe compress the schedule,
Mhm.
and save some money.
Potentially do that.
Anybody else? All right, gentlemen, thank you for coming in, I appreciate it. I think when we all started to talk about the bus, I don't even know how many years, 3 years ago, when we really started talking about this, I mean, it's been quite a while since it was, you know, the idea of doing it, then the implementation, then the start of the service. It's been quite a while. I knew that, to Selectman Walsh's point, it was an argument both of cost and of service to the community. As a finance committee, though, we have to look at what is best financially feasible for the town. I cannot argue that I love the service and what it provides to the citizens of Milford. To me, it's important. It's like leaf pickup, like trash pickup. It's a service we provide. But we need to figure out if we're providing that in the best way. And I think that's what the committee's trying to get across. I'm trying to get everybody's thoughts together and give it to you, is whether we are doing it the right way, whether the current mode is the best way, whether dial-a-ride is the best way. You know, I don't know that anyone here is screaming for the elimination of the bus. I think they're just looking at if alternative C or D were better. It doesn't necessarily have to be cheaper, but maybe it's, you know, that's what I think that the sport is looking for, is whether there are alternatives out there that could better serve the town. And if it did it at a cheaper price, then obviously that's fantastic. But we want to give the best product to the town, and if it's not getting done the best way this way, maybe another way's better. So I think that's, yeah.
I would just say, we need to keep in mind that this does not serve the town. It serves a very small geographical area. I can recall when I attended the public forums, many people raised their hand and said, I live such and such, are they gonna pick me up? No, they're not. Well, I can't take the bus then. Why doesn't you provide it to the whole town? So it does not serve the whole town. I would like it to serve the whole town, and I think it should.
I can't argue that, but also we can't have a 3-hour bus loop either. And then if we did multiple buses, but I understand your point. and
Maybe
it-
there's other ways.
That's kind of what I was trying to direct the point back, is maybe there are other things that we need to look at. And maybe at the end of the day, we look at this and we say, you know what, there's nothing better than what we have right now. Then this is what we continue to do. But I think that's what people are looking at now, saying, look at the ridership, you know, can we do it a different way? And I really think that that's just the whole point.
Right, and if the selectmen want us to, you know, investigate other ways, we will, definitely.
Perfect.
I mean, we have no problem doing that.
All right.
We haven't heard from them.
Thank you very much, guys, for coming in and bringing in the information that you have. I know getting it's tough for you guys sometimes, so.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys, have a great night.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Very good points by everybody on that. I know that that's an emotional issue because it has finance, but also it has people's livelihood. So,
But you make a good point. There's nobody on this committee that ever advocated doing away with the bus.
Yeah.
No one ever said
With
that.
the service.
yeah.
There's a need there.
what you
There's a
said-
need there.
Nobody advocated doing away with the service.
Correct.
The only question is
How
the
do you
bus the
deliver it?
right one? Right,
That-
exactly.
That's what I tried to summarize at the end, so, thank you. We're 10 minutes behind. Sorry.
Speaking of
Ms.
buses,
Clark, why don't you come up?
Oh, boy, that looks like a big packet.
You know, I feel like I'm an old dog with new tricks because I saw the youth center and they provided you with a web-based something or other. I have paper.
And you made everyone else happier. I like it on the computer because we're trying to use the tablets, but
We give these back
everybody
to
else
you
here
afterwards?
smiled. And if Aldo's smiling at home, just know when he had a handout.
Let's send him one.
I'll
Send
save one
Aldo
for Aldo. He'll be happy he had
I'm old
paper.
school.
Don't forget Uncle Jack.
I'm old school.
Me
too.
It's a senior.
I need
I'm eligible to go to the senior center
So am
now.
I.
I can go there now.
So can I.
I'm
go
eligible.
there for a while.
Yeah.
now, Jerry.
That's enough of that.
All right, guys.
I'll go there.
But if we could
Same thing with the youth center. It's been quite a while since we saw Sue. She did a great presentation last time, and just by the looks of handing it around, it looks like she's already had another great presentation for us. But I just wanted to have you come in, just get an update. We always like to keep the lines of communication open, just so that we can always be on board. There's never a question of what's going on, no surprises, and I think you have such a good thing going on down there. I think it's nice to publicize it, and I know a lot of people may not watch our meetings, but at least if they do, they can get another idea of the great things you're doing down there. So.
Well, I appreciate it.
With
and I
that being
appreciate
said,
the
so-
opportunity to
Yep.
come in and talk to your board. And I really didn't bring that much with me, but what I did bring is just some graphs, so it would be easy to kind of visualize what's going on at the center. And I basically used the same database that Jen's using. So it's called My Senior Center. She actually has My Senior Center at the Youth Center, because it's a great way to track. So the first graph that I gave you is a summary of our activities. So basically, this is what's going on at the senior center. And if you look, the biggest thing that's going on is the events. We have Shine, which is a really great program. Meals on Wheels, I mean, we deliver over 100 meals a day to people at home. And we also do a congregate meal at the center. It's a smaller one. For people that don't want to have their meal delivered at home, they may want to come into the center and get that meal there. We take trips once a month. We have over 100 volunteers that help us out running the place, basically. We have services that I'll talk about, and of course, we provide rides to the seniors for medical appointments and for errands. So the first handout that I gave you is the graph, and it shows you, how it's broken out in the numbers. So from November 16 to November 17, we provided 83,283 units of service. And I didn't add up the people because the same people may be doing one or more services. But we service a lot of seniors, I can tell you that. So the next thing I did was I broke out the events, because it seems like the events is our biggest draw into the center right now. So our events, I mean, they vary from getting a loaf of bread in the morning to fitness. Fitness, again, is our biggest component right now. We provided 9,500 units of service to 432 people. So that's a lot of people coming in and using our fitness facility. Some other good numbers, recreation, of course, we have a lot of things going on at the senior center. We have a breakfast every month. We're going to have a veterans breakfast tomorrow. We have 65 people coming to have breakfast with the veterans. Next Thursday, we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. We sold out at 160. We sold out within a week. So I have a waiting list of probably 15 people that will probably get to come, because I can't say no. And our Thanksgiving event is wonderful, because all the department heads come in and they serve the meal. So it's a great opportunity for the seniors to get a wonderful meal and to mingle with the department heads. It's really a nice event. So we have a breakfast every month. We have at least one luncheon every month. We have a healthy living lunch every month. Our fitness facility is opened from 8 to 5, well, it's open from 8 to 5, but we have trainers there from 8 to 1 every day. We have 19 classes every week at our fitness facility. We go on one trip a month in the good weather. We won't be going on a trip in January, February, and March, because, we don't know what the weather's gonna be. I'm not gonna put 50 seniors on the bus in blizzard. So the next trip will be to the Boston Pops, and then after that, we won't go probably until April. What else do we do? Those are our events in-house. There's always something going on at the senior center. But I think what we want to emphasize now is services. You know, last year, my goal was to create the fitness center, and I think we did pretty good with it. I mean, we have a beautiful fitness center. It didn't cost, well, it did cost the town the $75,000 to finish that room, which I thank you for every day.
Someone wanted to raise their hand. I'm glad you caught yourself.
Yeah. But as far as everything else goes, everything was paid from grants. I got a $25,000 grant from the Metro West Health Foundation the first year for the trainers and for some equipment. This year, they gave me $16,000, and I'm hoping that they're gonna give me at least $10,000 next year. And the rest of the money comes from the formula grant. We got 2 Chinook grants for fitness equipment. So we have all new equipment in our gym, and we have a beautiful fitness studio for our classes. And it really doesn't cost any money to run that right now. We do charge for the classes, and that money helps pay the instructors. The instructors are paid through the Friends of the Senior Center, so it's really working out well. So my next focus is services, because I think we have one social worker, 19 hours a week, and I don't know if you've heard, you'll read it on the front page, we now have Dino as well. Dino is volunteering 2 days a week, and we're keeping him very busy.
Nice.
So, he's a wonderful resource, and I am so grateful to have him in the building. But there's a lot of services that need to be provided to the seniors. For example, someone came in today that needed help filling out a Mass Health application, which takes a lot of time. So it would be really nice if we could incorporate some kind of service center into our senior center that could assist people filling out SNAP applications, Mass Health applications, housing applications, just different things that we could help seniors get. I think services is something that we really need to provide. All these fun things we do, they're wonderful. They're wonderful. But I think what we really need to focus on now, we're keeping them healthy, we're showing them a good time, but we also have to help them when they need the services. So I'm always looking for a dollar from any funding source I can find to maybe, I thought maybe I had found one, but it wasn't gonna work out, to create some kind of benefit enrollment center, or, similar to what Shine's doing. Shine is a information center for insurance. If we could somehow have an information center for benefits, that would be great. But that's, we'll work on that, we'll think about it, we'll brainstorm, and hopefully we'll come up with a plan and a funding source to do something like that. But I think that's something that we need to work on. So I just also wanted to talk to you about the population, because as you know, the baby boomers have hit. So this last sheet of paper that I gave you is based off the town's resident listing, which, it's the best data I could get, because I know it's not accurate. If you don't fill in your census, you're not being counted. But right now, in the year 2017, 32% of our population is seniors. Next year, it'll be 34%. By 2020, it'll be 37%. So as you can see, our population is growing, the senior population is growing. And I think we need to, with the senior center, we need to grow with it. So we need to be able to provide more services, we need to be able to accommodate all the folks that are coming in. I gave you our newsletter. We changed the
So
name
before
of
you
it.
move on, I just, quick question. What is the forecast based off of? Like, what?
Well, the census, there's years, the
Oh, so
year that you were
You're just
born.
adding years onto
Right.
everyone's age.
Right.
And what age are they considered a senior? 50?
60.
60, okay.
So we're really trying to draw in 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds. It's not just for old people.
I'm already there.
So, well, we're all there. And you know what, we're having fun there too, which is good. So the elder Milfordian is now called What's Next at 60 North Bow Street, because, you know, I'm a senior, but I'm not an elder. So I just wanted to make everybody feel that this is not a community center, but it's a center that an older adult can come and enjoy themselves. They don't have to be old. If you're retired, you're lucky, come on down. If you're not, you know, we do have services that you could use as well. Come in and use our fitness facility, whatever you want to do. So that's basically where we are right now. I also gave you this little handy card, and this basically outlines all the different programs that we're running, the fitness facility, our transportation program. You know, I'm on the transportation committee, so I heard all the comments that were being made. My bus is full all the time, and we do door-to-door service. It's not cheap, though, you know, so it does cost the town some money to provide that service. It's a good service. I could use as many buses as you want to give me, but, you know, it does cost money to run that bus.
So what's the
Yes.
geographical range on the bus? How far out does it?
Oh, we go door to door.
But how far, like out of town?
Well, we right now, we have two different programs going. We have the in-town program for medical and errands. Now, if somebody needed a ride to Boston, we would provide them transportation. Right now, in my revolving account, which is from, we get some donations in from, we suggest a $3 fee to pay for the bus. If the senior can't afford it, they don't have to pay it. It's a donation. But those monies go into our revolving account. And with that money, I'm able to contract out with the bus service, because we subcontract with the bus service. We don't own the bus. So I am able to provide transportation to Boston at $33 an hour for this person, with the stipulation that their appointment has to be after 10 o'clock in the morning, and it has to be done by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because that car has to
Could be
come
a
back.
5-hour ride to Boston,
It
yeah.
has to come back to pick some child up from school. It's the same, you know, it's the same bus line. So it's gonna cost me a lot of money to take this person into Boston, and it might cost that person $25. So we do have out-of-town transportation. It's a last resort type thing, but if somebody needs transportation out of town, we try to provide it as long as we can. The money's not gonna last forever. But right now, we have a little bit of money left in that account, and that's how I pay for out of town.
If you could,
Yes.
share with us, you know, I'm looking at round numbers, 4,000 rides a year, door to door. I'd really love to know what it costs. Not that I want to pick on you, I just want to have a baseline to say, 4,000 rides, if someday you could go back and pull it out and say, for me to provide in town. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect by the minute, by the second, just give me a gut feel. You know, I spend $100 a year, 80 of it is in town, and that represents 3,000 rides. That would give us a good idea to an alternative, because
Well,
this is door to door,
We spend about $4,500 a month for our bus,
so 50 grand a year,
maybe,
55.
yeah. And then we have a dispatcher, so, you know, put another maybe 25,000 onto that, maybe less.
Okay, well, just take your time,
So
no
that's, I
urgency,
mean,
but
that's a quick, and that's
Bobby,
what
I think
was-
this would be a good thing to understand. You know, it's 70 grand, and we do so many rides, and it's not apples to apples, because this is door to door,
Door to door, yeah.
you know, but
Big enhancement.
at least it would give us some baseline to look, to say, okay, each ride costs $15 a head, but it's door to door. That's all.
It comes out to more than 15, but,
So whenever you get a chance, if
Right.
you could just have.
no, I can certainly, yeah, because,
Just
you
give
know,
it
you
to the
gotta,
chairman.
there's a lot of things to figure in. It's not just what I'm paying the bus service, because we have a
I'd like to
dispatcher
know
and
the
we have-
whole,
Right, right,
you know,
right.
the whole McGilla there, to say it's a bus, it's a dispatcher, does the dispatcher get benefits, throw that, just, it costs us X dollars to provide this service.
And I have to say, our transportation program is great, and, you know, it's sad when we have to tell somebody that we cannot pick them up because the bus is full. So, one of the other things we have right now is a wellness nurse, and this is provided by the Board of Health. And I gotta tell you, this is such a draw for the center. We are so fortunate to have this nurse Wednesday and Thursday, 9 to 12. And she's got someone in her office the whole time. Blood pressure, med checks, just to talk to. She's developed a relationship with everybody. They're comfortable with her. They go in, they sit, they talk. If she thinks, I mean, she's not a doctor, she doesn't pretend to be, but they listen to her. And if she says, you know, you should really go and get that checked, they'll go and get that checked. So that's something that's really working out well with us, is the wellness nurse. So I thank the Board of Health for that. Shine, of course, is a wonderful resource, and we're very lucky to host the regional office in our building. You know, our nutrition program with Meals on Wheels, some of the other services, we do fuel assistance with SMOC right now. All the applications are coming in, people are coming in every day, and we have volunteers helping them fill out their paperwork. In February, AARP comes in and they do tax returns free of charge. Right now, we're finishing up last year's senior volunteer tax program, and I'm going through applications now. We have 27 applicants right now that will be doing work throughout the town. I mean, that's a great program. They'll get $1,000 off their taxes. They have to do 91 hours. Just, you know, notary service, and we do a lot of things down there. We're busy all the time, and it's just a fun place to be. So I think we're doing well as far as providing services, providing fitness, providing wellness, healthy meals, you know, which we try.
All right, I'd like to open up to the board. Mrs. Gaby?
Hi, Sue. So I'm concerned with only how's the building. I know we had some articles on fixing the sidewalks and the like. How is the building right now? Do you see any issues that you need to bring up to the Capital Committee?
I think we are on maybe next year for our flooring. We had the repairs done to the building. Town administrator helped us with that through, I don't know if it was an emergency fund or through his budget. We try to stay on things, so if we see something, and I have to say that all the town departments are so good to me. We needed a flagpole, so Scott and his crew came and they got a new flagpole. They gave me their old flagpole, but they saved the town maybe $5,000 by giving me their old flagpole. And they put it up yesterday, so tomorrow for Veterans Day.
There was one missing from Franklin I saw in the paper, so it has to be where he got it.
I'm not asking any questions.
Absolutely.
I got a new flagpole, and we're gonna have a new flag on it for Veterans Breakfast tomorrow, which is great.
Nice,
I
that's
mean,
nice,
you
yeah.
know, we didn't have a flag for a little while, so, and it cost $5,000 to
Nobody
put the
said
flag
Bobby
up.
DeVito wasn't resourceful.
So we have no open articles with money that hasn't been, or services that haven't been completed, do we? No?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mike, I was looking at the capital, while you brought that up, and they have nothing in next year's budget. 19, they have the floor
The floors.
in the Milford room. Then in 2020, the carpet and the upstairs last room, so I don't know if that's
the
adequate.
fall meeting.
Yeah,
People get confused. Was it spring, fall, what year?
I was a little confused with that
That
myself.
budget spreadsheet,
Yeah.
when it says 2019, means the fall of 19.
Calendar night.
He does calendar, yeah.
Yeah.
Not fiscal.
But I remember we had the sidewalk issue, right? Didn't we have some uneven surface
yeah.
and it was an
That got
emergency and
That
that's
got
all
squared
done,
away,
right?
yeah.
Mr. Nicholson?
Sue, are you having any, or do you foresee having any problem with parking capacity?
All the time. It's amazing. My parking lot is full all the time.
But just for you, I'm not, like the local other people aren't using your parking lot, are they?
Well, they
My
do at
parking lot,
night.
I'm just gonna say, my parking lot is full all the time. And
But wait a minute, that's confusing. So the parking lot, I have no issue with other businesses. Like, we go to the dinner at 9 o'clock at night, and there's nothing in the senior center.
Where are you going now?
Yeah, one of the restaurants there, and we've parked in the senior center parking lot, and I didn't feel guilty because it was half empty. But if local businesses are taking up spaces that you need for the seniors, that's a different kettle of tuna fish here.
yeah, I agree.
Is that what you're telling us?
No, I'm not saying anything. No, I'm just saying that parking is at a premium at the center. And I think that's why a lot of our seniors get there early, so they can get a good parking spot. We do have businesses using our parking lot, and sometimes I wish they wouldn't, but
Do we need
it's out of my
signs?
control.
Do we need
Does
they have
signs?
signs?
Parking?
Does that get in the way of the seniors parking, I guess is my
At
question?
times it does, yes.
And we should ask the selectmen to look into that, because that's not fair. I have no problem at night. Like I say, when I've gone there at 9 at night and the parking lot's half empty, I'll park there.
Yeah, to Sue's point, I went to the expo, I ended up parking by the old Archer Rubber.
Yeah, and see, that's what worries me, Michael, because some of the seniors can't park that far away. You know, so if local businesses are displacing seniors, then we have to ask the selectmen to look into it.
We're gonna fix that.
I heard we had to get a new parking lot on Central Street, aren't we?
That won't help, though. That's too far
Yeah,
away.
it is too far away.
I mean, that's too far away for the seniors to
Should we
walk.
bus them?
Go bus. Call the senior center for a bus.
You can see when it gets late, the sarcasm starts to flow.
Shuttle bus.
I
It
said
happens
it,
when you're third on the agenda, I'm sorry.
so I
The
said he
jokes
was
don't get any better.
resourceful. I never said he was nice.
No, we're good, but the parking lot does fill up. And, you know, when they built the building in 2004, I think that was the big thing. Why do you need such a big parking lot? Why do you need such a big building? Well, now you can see we're full. I mean, the parking lot's full, the building is full. I have one room left that needs to be finished, that's somewhere along the line on that capital plan. I hope I'm still here to see that room get finished, maybe for the benefits, but, you know, we've really utilized every inch of that building and outside, inside and outside. Our patio is beautiful. This summer, we had a wonderful garden out there, vegetable garden. We were growing tomatoes and passing them out to the seniors, and it was just really it's a nice place.
Excellent. Excellent.
Anybody else?
Should someone really look at this long term as far as exceeding capacity? They're land bound now, they can't grow anymore.
Oh, Sue's gonna put a third floor on, don't worry
Oh,
about it.
boy.
If it's gonna
expand
grow the
the
way she's
garden,
saying
Mike.
it's gonna grow, you better start thinking, you talk about schools out in the future, you know, $1 million fire trucks out in the future. She's land bound now.
You'll have to
Can't grow.
add Senior Center North.
Michael, I think the
Different
point
location.
that she brought up was absolutely on point to say when that senior center was built, everybody looked and said, we're gonna house all of Milford in it. Why do we need it?
Right.
Okay, when the parking lot was expanded, it's like, we'll never have that many
No.
cars, and yet here we are discussing
Yes.
that. So absolutely, I think every department has to look out. That's why we have the capital plan going out 10 years. You know, to actually look and say, okay, what should we be looking at? For some of us, that's gonna be relevant, because in 5 or so years, I mean, now, what did you say, I'm a senior,
Yes,
and
you
my
are.
colleague is a, what is Bobby, he's a senior plus, or what did you call him?
Plus.
But, you know,
Sophomore. So we can do the freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. So the 60 to 70s are freshmen, and then the 70 to 80s are sophomores, the 80s to 90s are juniors, and then the 90-plus are seniors. So we're like the high school.
well, I'm taking it back, I'm
Do
not a
all
senior.
classes. And,
But I mean-
and the difference between the 60-year-old and the 90-year-old, they lived in totally different worlds. So trying to get all those folks under one roof and come up with these activities that everyone's going to enjoy it's a challenge. So that's why we have to have.
So
all
I
these
think
different things.
realistically, what Michael's bringing up is a good point. We have that long-range plan
Right.
for capital. We have to start looking 5, 10 years out. If the senior center continues to grow, and there's no reason to believe it won't, and it continues to have better and better acceptance, and there's no reason to believe it won't, what do we have to do when we want to go there? You know, 5, 10 years from now, we're gonna be in there, and you sit there and say, is there gonna be room in the inn? And if there isn't, what are we gonna do about it? And get it on the plan.
Mr. Chairman, I had one other thing. I recall the last time we had Sue in here, we talked about the facility as a possible rental facility for functions at night,
I do remember that
briefly.
topic coming up.
Whether or not we should have a fee established, if you're having a bar mitzvah or, you know, something, and it's a space that's not used at night, right? If that was.
We do use a lot of it at
You'd be
night.
surprised.
Yeah,
There's a
it's
lot going
busy
on
every
there at
night.
night. Exercise programs
We
and
have,
things.
I thought it closed at 5:30, no?
no,
Oh, okay.
we have, 4 nights a week, the hospital uses my fitness facility.
Well, it's the point. So hospital uses it for free, right?
Yes,
Yes. So
pretty much. They do
So
make
it's
a
a service for the
donation.
town,
They
that's
do make a donation.
That's wonderful.
That provide, well, you know, the hospital's a different, we partner with them. So
Right.
they provide 6 healthy living lunches a year to us, and they'll do any kind of educational thing that we need. So it's a really good partnership we have with them.
Mm-hmm.
And we do let other nonprofit,
Right.
the Greenleaf Garden Club come in.
Good.
the-
I'm just thinking like Al's Milford High School class of 1950.
Yeah, right.
Wants to have a reunion, and that's the perfect place to have it. Should we
Well, there
have?
is a fee schedule that's set up through the town. We've never rented it out for that,
Mhm.
for that reason.
Should we think about that? I mean, you know, it's, I understand we should have certain groups that, right, don't have to pay anything, but if other people wanted to use it as a facility to have a birthday party or something, you know, and let's close the
I don't know.
facility for a couple hours.
I guess you'd have to really look at it and see what the benefit would be.
As
Because
long-
you would have to, you know, have.
So I'd have no issue renting it as long as it doesn't interfere with.
Mm.
You know, you already have it 4 nights a week out of 7 for this, you have it,
Right.
but,
We
you
have
know,
bingo on Sunday,
if,
so, you know, we're
I
still
think
using
Michael's
it
point
on
is
Sunday.
legit, that a senior may want to have their grandsons or granddaughters' little birthday party or something. And if it doesn't interfere with anything, that's kind of neat.
I think you'd have to probably weigh out the cost of it, because
Yeah.
you would have to have a maintenance person
Yep.
and.
Custodian, someone manning everything.
Yeah.
Job for the subcommittee.
Yeah,
There you
Yep.
go.
yeah,
Good idea.
good point.
Jeff Nero chairs it.
Okay, got an action for Jeff. He's not here to refute
That's
it.
it, he
so-
misses the meeting, he gets assigned.
All right, I'll touch base with Jeff on it.
But congratulations, you've made this into some kind of gem for the town.
It is, it really is.
Well, you know, it's a team effort. I have a great staff.
And you put up with Bobby, so you,
Bobby's great. Bobby helps us
Chief
all
cook
the
down
time.
there.
He's always down there helping us.
Because he doesn't need a hairnet, that's why.
You know, we are on,
Sorry, Mr. DeVito.
it's 9 o'clock.
that hurt.
Is anyone?
But I have to give a shout out to my staff, because, you know, it's not me, it's all of us. And they work endless hours. You have to love your job if you're gonna work at the senior center, because you're not there for the money, trust me. You're there because you enjoy doing what you're doing. You don't work 19 hours a week, you work as many hours as it takes, and they all do it. So I'm very fortunate to have a great staff.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Anybody else? No. I'm not gonna repeat everything else. Great job.
Thank you, Sue.
Can we go home now?
Yep.
8:00.
I'm sorry. Well,
Thank you, guys.
they were just the opening act. I put the important people at the end. All right, great update from the senior center.
We've had requests to expand the garden at the senior center in lieu of the recent marijuana legislation. So there may be an emergency request coming for.
All of a sudden, the revenue stream has gone up significantly at the senior center.
Happy seniors.
Garden Pizza loves it. All right, last item on the agenda. At the last meeting, and I do not want this conversation to divert to any conversation about the Personnel Board, but that event did bring up question with me about how we handled it, and I know me personally, I certainly was questioning whether I handled it appropriately or we handled it appropriately as a committee, in which we did not see them for their articles and what we decided to do for town meeting recommendation-wise. What we did do at town meeting, obviously most of you were there for the meeting, in which we basically read that they did not come before the finance committee, so we did not have the information to give a recommendation. Now, due to the statute, and Jerry is not here, but I know that I've talked to Jerry, is that technically they have to, it's like the old CIC, they at least have to submit a letter, paperwork-wise. That is their full requirement. Now, that does not affect how we react to the finance committee and giving our recommendation. That would be something that this board needs to determine on what we want to do. Whether we want to continue to take it on a case-by-case basis, whether we want to adopt a policy that, hey, if you don't come before us, we're going to give it an unfavorable recommendation. We need to discuss that as a committee. And like I said, I was not happy with the way that I conducted my decision or helped the decision at the last meeting, because to be honest with you, I was kind of caught off guard, and I wasn't sure what to do. I'd like to have this committee have a little discussion, if we want to have it at a future meeting, on what we would like to do. That's just a protocol in the committee for when we don't hear from a
Mr. Chairman,
committee.
with all due respect, what other option?
We could say we would give an unfavorable recommendation if they didn't
Well,
come
but see,
before
I have a
us.
problem.
That's why I'm having the discussion, so.
No, but I have a problem. You
Where does it
cannot
say we
force
have
a
to-
committee to come before us, or an individual. We don't
right.
have congressional subpoena power
No.
to say you must come. And to adopt a policy that says we're either going to automatically vote for it or automatically against it, I don't know that that's prudent, because it may be an absolute legitimate good article for the town, and they just don't bother coming before us. Now, telling town meeting that we invited them and they didn't come, I felt comfortable with, because that's, if we're gonna hide behind anything, I wanna hide behind the truth. But I wouldn't wanna vote negative or favorable automatically without knowing the situation. So I think you did, in a horrible situation, you did the best you could.
Yeah, well, it certainly wasn't a horrible situation. I don't want to play it up like it was this dire thing. But like I said, I just got some feedback from members on this committee. I got feedback from the general public on, what were you guys doing? And to be honest with you, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up tonight and just get everyone's feedback as a whole.
I got a question.
Yeah, sure.
Where- Did you look at the town documents with regarding the bylaws?
I spoke with Jerry. I didn't sit down. and-
We didn't look at it for ourselves, did we?
No, I had Jerry advise me.
Can we get those documents that say that in front of us?
Absolutely.
So Mr. DeVita and I can pick them apart and figure out what it's about?
It's just Article 2 on the town bylaws for the FinCom.
Well, I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see it
It's on
myself.
the town website.
I'll be happy to get it.
I know the CIC had a specific directive within the CIC, but I don't remember, I've been on this board a long time, and this is the first time this has ever come up.
Yeah.
You know, the CIC went to Jerry Moody, and all they had to do is supply a
CIC is
letter.
different.
I was just using that as an example. I
CIC is
apologize. I didn't want to
different.
muddy the water, but that's,
The documents
it was an
that
example.
commissioned the CIC dictated that they had to come before this committee. But it didn't say any place else in town that they have to. And I just want to see that before I go off,
Yeah,
jumping
absolutely.
off the deep end. Because I agree with you that there are some things that happened that were good, that I wouldn't want to vote unfavorable, but I don't want this to become a habitual kind of, well, I'll just not go before the finance committee and do my own thing either, so.
When you think of it, how often has that happened? I mean,
never
I've been
happened.
on this committee for many years than I
I've
care
been
to
on this
admit to.
committee almost as long as you have, and it's never happened.
Right, so,
Ask Mr. Miscalope.
Never heard it before.
Never
I
heard it
don't
happen.
remember it happening. I mean, you guys certainly long, but
so
that's
are we
why.
overthinking this? I don't know.
I
And
think
once
It
again, I'm just
happened
bringing it up
9
because
years ago with a sidewalk. You remember a resident wanted a $2 million sidewalk put in front of his house? He never came before the FinCom.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
I believe you, but I don't.
Did you get the sidewalk out?
No.
So if from hearing you guys, and it is true that it is almost never happened. Like I said, I'm just bringing it before because I know I got feedback from members on this committee, and I got feedback from the public as a whole. If we think I'm making a mountain out of a molehill and we should just take it on a case-by-case basis because it never happens, like I said, I'm open to anything. I just wanted to hear everyone's opinion and air it out, and Mike.
So if it is true that it is in our bylaws, and that's an if,
Yep.
I think it'd be perfectly appropriate that we call a point of order to the attention of the moderator and say, according to our bylaws, this shouldn't be voted on because they haven't been.
That's an excellent point.
Yep.
That's a better
Pass
approach,
them
that's a
over.
better approach than the one we had. Just go to the moderator and say, this is out of order. It's a
Yeah.
point of order,
It's a point of
and
order,
just stop it right there.
and then we'll
If
leave
it-
it up
if
to the
it's in-
moderator to decide how to conduct
If
it.
it's in the document.
But then we have to do what you said. We have to look at the document,
Yep.
have an
You gotta look at it. You
interpretation,
can't
and
just,
ask Jerry to
in all respect,
advise.
I got into some discussion, I finally went in and got the bylaws out and looked at them, the bylaws that commission this committee. And if you read them, it's a whole lot different than what's written there than what most people interpret, what we do. And you've got to actually, it's 2 pages, and it's a lot of legalese, but if you work down through it, you'll get a whole lot better perspective of what our goal is here and what we're supposed to do. So I just want to make
No
sure.
question, it's evolved since that document, because that's an old document, and it's evolved.
It's an old document that was structured, in my opinion, around how Congress is set up, with a separation of power. And that's what this committee does by having 15 members on it. It separates out the power of the town government, and that's what it's intended to do. And it's actually very well done. And so you just gotta look at it and read through it very carefully and think, how does it work in today's modern environment? And quite frankly, pretty good. I mean,
We have power?
you actually have a whole lot more power than you realize, and the power comes in how you run this organization. You don't get power by getting voted in, you get power by your commission of what your mission is and what you're supposed to be doing. And if you do what that document says, this is a very powerful committee.
I didn't think we had any power. I
If
thought
it's
town
50
meeting had all the
15
power.
people that if they do what they're supposed to do, as far as what's in that bylaw, but we get,
Let's read it.
we're like human beings, we get off on tangents.
Let me, yeah.
And just look at it and evaluate yourself. 'Cause
Let's get the information. Like I said, this was nothing that was.
you didn't do anything
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
Don't get any, you
No,
just,
and I don't think I did either, but like I said, I wanted to bring it up because I did get feedback from people questioning what we did, so I just wanted us to talk about it.
So, the matter at hand, though, is the personnel board, right?
No, I don't want to talk about the personnel, because that's done, it's passed,
You
it's.
don't want them to come in and explain anything to us?
Well, that's a different situation, I apologize, if that's what you want.
That's what I'm talking about. I
Yeah.
think we need to understand what, was it happenstance, was it
Right.
Well, I
deliberate?
Was it a miscommunication?
It was a miscommunication, once
Was it a
again, I don't.
snub? I mean, I think we need to.
It wasn't a snub, and I will tell you that I spoke with Dennis Carroll. I had sent an email on the 7th, and once again, I'm talking about this, and I didn't want to talk about it. I had sent, but I didn't want to talk about their situation, I want to talk about going forward. But I had sent a couple of emails to the town of Milford email, and that is not an email that's frequently checked by that gentleman, so he did not ever. He said, if I'd known, he goes, I certainly would have been there, and I 100% believe him. Dennis is an absolute stand-up guy, and if he had known about it, I think he would have been here.
Well, then if
maybe
it's an
just
honest mistake,
maybe
we
it's just
shouldn't
an
have
oversight
any.
and just
Yeah,
move
and
on.
that's why I didn't even want to talk about it, because I believe it was an oversight. I just wanted a policy going forward, and I think that getting the documentation of what the bylaw states, and I think, the fact that it doesn't happen often, taking it as a case-by-case basis, I think, is the best thing going forward, but.
I feel this committee is very highly respected in this town, and everybody takes notice of the hard work and what we do, and what we've done over the years to getting from where we were 25 years ago, right, Mr. DeVita, maybe even longer, to where we are today. This didn't just happen by chance. There's a lot of hard work, and there's some people here that are not here tonight that are due a whole lot of credit.
You're right.
Okay, so let's not, I mean, just because I'm ready to just move on, and hopefully it doesn't happen again, and
Yep.
if it does, refer it to the selectman's office. Thank you, thank you.
Does anyone else have any other comments on this? So basically, we're gonna take it on a case-by-case basis if it does happen again?
Yeah, but we do want the,
Oh, I certainly am gonna get the bylaw
I
information.
like the idea, if we are, we could just refer it to the town moderator and just,
Only if we have that.
Yes, I'm gonna get the information.
let's read first.
thank you.
All right, guys, we did a lot tonight. Thank everyone for being patient. The next meeting is on December the 14th, which is too close to the holiday, so I'm saying we're not gonna have a December meeting.
Except
You guys-
for emergencies.
We will have, if we have to have a meeting, we'll call it our emergencies. we will, but otherwise, enjoy your holidays. We'll come back after the new year. Subcommittees, though, please start working. Budgets are gonna start happening, your new committee assignments, please look them over. Speaking of committee assignments, one addition that I wanted to mention, with Phil, he's not out the door yet, but he's 3/4 of the way. Jerry's gonna fill his spot over on sewer, and due to a great recommendation by Mr. DeVita, sewer, subcommittee is also gonna be the water subcommittee as well.
Don't
I
get
think
them
that's-
mixed up, because I don't want to be drinking the wrong stuff.
Don't let the pipes get crossed.
So that was a great suggestion, Bobby, so,
Mike Nicholson.
oh, was it Mike?
Yeah.
I'm
it was
sorry, Mike. I thought, when you said it, I thought you were
They
talking
operate
about
the same
Bobby.
way, they're gonna operate the same way, right?
I will, I'll send you an email.
And with the sewer, we've done it.
I don't know
The
yet.
sewer's doing a great job. of
Okay.
what's going on.
Motion to
All right,
adjourn.
is there anybody else that has anything?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, enjoy your holidays, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, good job, Mr. Chairman.
Your first one. Motion for adjournment by Chuck, second by Bobby. All those in favor?
Paul.
Unanimous.